The concept of original sin, a doctrine deeply embedded in Christian thought, posits that humanity inherits a state of sinfulness from Adam's transgression in the Garden of Eden. This inherited guilt, according to the doctrine, predisposes humans to sin and alienates them from God. From birth, we are marked by this ancient transgression, burdened by a debt we did not personally incur. This concept raises profound questions about free will, divine justice, and the very nature of human existence. The roots of original sin can be traced back to the writings of early church fathers, particularly Augustine of Hippo. Augustine interpreted the Genesis account of the fall literally, arguing that Adam's sin corrupted human nature itself. This interpretation gained significant traction over the centuries. It became formalized in documents like the Augsburg Confession of 1530, a pivotal text of the Lutheran Reformation. The Augsburg Confession explicitly states that all humans are conceived and born in sin, reinforcing the notion of an inherited sinfulness. Often cited as evidence for original sin is Psalm 51, verse 5, where David, consumed by guilt, declares, "Surely I was sinful at birth, sinful from the time my mother conceived me." However, to interpret this verse literally is to misunderstand the nature of Hebrew poetry. Hebrew poetry thrives on vivid imagery, hyperbole, and emotional intensity. David's words, rather than a theological treatise, are a poetic expression of his deep remorse and his understanding of his own sinfulness. While the doctrine of original sin paints a bleak picture of human nature, other scriptural passages offer a more nuanced perspective. The book of Ezekiel, for instance, emphasizes individual accountability, stating that the son shall not suffer for the iniquity of the father, nor the father suffer for the iniquity of the son, Ezekiel 18:20. This principle of individual responsibility suggests that we are not inherently sinful, but are judged based on our own actions. David's poignant words in Psalm 51 reflect his personal anguish over his sin with Bathsheba. To extrapolate a universal doctrine of original sin from this deeply personal lament is to miss the context. David's cry is not a theological statement about the state of all humanity, but an expression of his own profound sense of guilt and his desperate plea for God's forgiveness. His experience, while deeply felt, should not be interpreted as a universal human condition. The doctrine of original sin presents a theological conundrum when considering the birth of Christ. If all humans inherit the stain of Adam's sin, how could Jesus, born of a woman, be without sin? The Catholic Church's doctrine of the Immaculate Conception attempts to resolve this by asserting that Mary, Jesus' mother, was conceived without original sin. This exception, however, raises further questions about the universality and consistency of the original sin doctrine. While the concept of original sin has profoundly shaped Christian thought, it is crucial to recognize the inherent goodness and potential within each human being. The Genesis account itself describes humans as created in the image of God, imbued with dignity and worth. This inherent goodness, while perhaps obscured by sin, is never extinguished. Our focus should not be on a supposed inherited stain, but on nurturing the divine spark within us and striving to live lives of love, compassion, and justice.